Welcome to another edition of Points of Interest, brought to you by the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Paul Boucher. I'm the President and CEO of the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. And as we do each week, we present you with a program of note and of the activities going on during the week. And this week being no different, we have with us today Bob McCarthy, who is the Vice Chair of the Lebanon School Board. Now we'll be talking about what's going on in the school department here in Lebanon and up-and-coming events and issues that are in front of the school board. But we begin with the local calendar, and there's things for everyone and everyone this particular week. We have on Wednesday blood drive in Lebanon, noon to 5 p.m. at the Alice Peck Day Memorial Hospital, and always a need for blood. And although it says noon to 5, if you come in close to 5, they'll stay till everyone has been served. This is another good one. Warbler Wednesdays in West Lebanon at the Boston Lot, which is right there at the Wilder Dam. Bird outing, and this is going to be each Wednesday in May, and that's sponsored by the Mascoma chapter of the New Hampshire Audubon Society. That is coming Wednesday. On Thursday, if you're into line dancing, from 5:10, pretty precise, 5:10 to 6:10 at the community building in Enfield. That's right there on Route 4, their new community building. And dance instruction with Jamie Orr, and that continues weekly through May 22nd. So if you're into that. And then on Friday of this week, is Bike or Walk to Work Day in Lebanon. And they're encouraging, if you're complaining about the traffic and the backup and all, well, that day they're encouraging you to either walk, bike to work, and to entice you to do so from 7 to 8:30 a.m. in Colburn Park, right downtown. There will be coffee and bagels and free bike checks by Omer and Bob's. And that's sponsored by the Lebanon Recreation Department, Upper Valley Trails Alliance, and the Upper Valley Rideshare. So that is this coming Friday, 7 to 8:30 if you want donuts. That'll give you a little energy to bike or walk to work on that day. Also on Friday, in Enfield at the Shaker Bridge Theater, the group down there is putting on Joe Egg. It's a drama about a British couple coping with a severely disabled child. That is in Enfield on Friday, 7:30 p.m. And you can call 448-3750 for tickets for that event. Always ongoing events. The Enfield Shaker Museum is open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and noon to 4 on Sundays. And you got self-guided tours Tuesday and Thursday, guided tours Sunday, Monday, Friday, and Saturday. Interesting to see what's going on at the Shaker Museum on Route 4A in Enfield. And spring is here. The first farmers market is next week, March 22nd, Thursday, from 4 to 7 p.m. here in the park. And I'm sure the few things that have started to grow and pop in the garden, so there'll be a full venue of vendors there, and then food. Plenty of food vendors are there also. So the first one of the week will be May 22nd. Thursday. We have had him on the program a couple of weeks ago, annual $1 Million Shootout golf tournament that's coming up, to proceeds going to the Upper Valley Baseball Academy and the Good News Training Program. And their intent is to raise funds to build a building so that sports can be practiced indoors on the off season. As we know from particularly this last winter, how long the season was, and couldn't get out to play, and it was some of the ball teams had to travel good distance just to practice. So that tournament is coming up on Sunday, June 8th at the Crown Point Country Club. And for more details, you can call Steve Cerrone at 802-296-5987. Event coming up at the Lebanon Opera House, Recycled Percussion. That is Friday, May 30th at 4:30 p.m. at the Lebanon Opera House, and we'll talk more about that as time gets closer. The Upper Valley Humane Society will have its third annual Walk on the Wild Side, they call it. That is Sunday, May 18th, starting at 11 a.m. The participants can walk on the wild side, have an opportunity to walk a 1 to 4 mile loop, starting here again at Colburn Park, and all the proceeds to support the activities of the Upper Valley Humane Society. Not to be left out, SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives, has got a number of events and workshops coming up. Their first one is Thursday of this week, and it is on QuickBooks, financial software tips for business owners and entrepreneurs. Excellent course, and that is Thursday, May 15th, 6 to 9 p.m. And their workshops fill up pretty quickly. So I would suggest you call 448-3491, your intentions to come. And coming up after that, on May 22nd, they're having positioning your business for sale. After that, managing your food and beverage business for those who are in that business. So May 22nd and 29th are the next two workshops coming in. And their doors are always open for people who are interested in starting a business. Those who need some help, again, through financial or to procedures, and they've got experts in every field that can help you, from manufacturing to retailing to that are there. The total service is free. They are sponsored by the Small Business Administration, and so you get plenty of advice and counsel and for whatever your needs are. Physically, they're located in the Citizens Bank building down on West Park Street here in Lebanon on the 3rd floor. So, and they, as I say, walk-ins are welcome. Coming up a little later on at the Lebanon Opera House, La Traviata is coming up this summer, My Fair Lady, and Street Scene. So as those schedules come up, we'll talk more about those events coming up. And Ava Gallery is having a juried summer exhibition, and that they're accepting applications right now for that event. And you can call Margaret Jacobs there, 448-3117, as the contact person for those. And they're having art classes and workshops for children, teens, and adults for the spring and summer. And Adam Blue is the contact person there at the same phone number. And if you're interested in yourselves working with your children, or gives you an opportunity to do so in all forms of art that they do there at the Ava Gallery. And all those events run through the summer. And they're also having Overtime, a drawing seminar, and that will begin on June 6th of this year, and we'll talk more about it as that comes along. So those are some of the activities going on in the Upper Valley this week, and I welcome as my guest this week is Bob McCarthy, who is the Vice Chair of the Lebanon School District, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate getting a chance to update you and the community on things that are going on with the Lebanon School Board.
This is the first year of the middle school in Lebanon, and how did that progress? How did that do all right?
Well, it's actually the second year.
Oh, it is the second year. Wow, time flies.
It is the second year,
yeah.
And things are going great there. We've had a few minor issues with the heating system and stuff, getting everything up to date and working properly to the best efficiency as possible, but that's going very smoothly. The Finance and Facilities Committee is working on an outbuilding for up there that'll go up by the ball fields. It's in the design phase right now. It's come to us. We sent it back because it was kind of a little bit over designed for what we really need up there, and we're trying to keep costs down. So we're in the process of getting that up and down and moving on. What people don't realize is when you're on the Lebanon School Board, there's 8 committees, and you're usually serving on 3 or 4 of them, and I'm going to be speaking probably from 2 or 3 that I'm on today. I'm on the policy, I'm on the finance facilities, I'm on the rec department. I was on public facilities for the city of Lebanon, but they've done away with that committee, so that's taken a little bit of time off my schedule, but things are going very well up there.
What is the building going to be used for
There's going to be
outbuilding.
it's going to be restrooms for male and female. There'll be mostly storage for equipment.
Oh, okay.
There's very little storage up there, so there'll be storage for equipment. The fields are coming along great up there. Those should be in full swing this fall for
Oh, wow.
football and soccer and what have you.
Oh, great, great, great. We talked a little earlier before you were on the air. What is the population of the school district as far as student enrollment? Is it pretty flat? I know we closed some schools.
Yeah, that's a great question. The numbers have been flat, however, at every stage except the elementary stage. Both of our elementary schools are busting at the seams.
Wow.
The finance and facility has been looking at several options as to what to do, additions on both schools, maybe one big addition on the Hanover Street, and having more kids going to the Hanover Street than West Leb, so we don't have to do a second addition over there. Possibly moving the SAU building facility into the addition also. So yeah, everything's pretty stagnant except the elementary grades, and we're busting at the seams there. Both schools need more room.
Now, Mount Leb, which is one of the elementary schools, seems to be, I don't see there's too much room to grow there, but is there buildings or land available there?
They're actually
at the high school, I mean at Hanover Street for future additions?
Actually, that's a great question. In West Lebanon, there's two pieces of property for sale, one right beside the school and one behind the school. I don't necessarily know if we'd be interested in the one behind the school, but the one right beside it, the homeowner has approached us about a year ago. He goes out west to California in the wintertime. He has not got back here yet. We are interested in that piece of property. What people don't realize, and I know the city council has spoken about this, is a piece of property, the Hatch Farm on Evans Drive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We are interested in that. We have been interested in that. A little over a year ago, our district had an appraisal done on that piece of property, and it appraised it just under $400,000. The Lebanon School District has made 3 offers on that piece of property, but we've been turned down on all 3. They're looking for $695,000, and it is not worth $695,000. So we've been trying to be frugal, but be reasonable, and we have offered 3 offers all over the appraised value. I can't give you numbers, but I can tell you that is definitely a piece of property that we would definitely be interested in.
And coming to terms. We were talking numbers earlier of enrollment. It seems to me anyway that your tuition paying students has increased though.
Well, tuition goes up and down, and you know, there was a big hoorah here a few weeks back about a young student from Windsor that wasn't going to be able to finish out the year in Lebanon because the guardianship changed hands, and the person in Windsor was going to be responsible for the child, and so he came forth. Now, we couldn't, what people don't realize is we urge people to come to our meetings, and at our meetings we have an RSA policy as to what you can address a subject about during public comment. If you want it on the agenda to speak more about directly with the board members, that has to be done, I believe, a week or 2 in advance. And the other problem is you can't mention names, especially when a child is, I mean, a lot of laws were broken by the Valley News and the people talking about this whole subject. But what they didn't realize is there's 313 children that pay tuition to come to Lebanon.
That's where I was going, really?
Yes, they come from Grantham, Plainfield, which is under our area agreement. They're the most, they send the most. But we also have them from Cornish, Enfield, Heartland, Lyme, Piermont, and Wethersfield, Vermont.
Wow.
And those are all paying students, and that price goes somewhere between $15,000 and change up to $17,000, depending on what grade level, and that's just in grade levels 7 through 12. Now, when you talk about policies, that was the other thing people were complaining about in that particular incident was policies. Probably 80% of our policies are directed to us from the state. When you get into RSAs, and we go through, I mean, our policy committee meets every other week, and we go through probably 12, 15 policies.
Wow.
I've been on this committee now going on 2.5 years, and we haven't even got, the book is like 12 inches thick.
I can imagine.
And you're just trying to update them so that you're legally following law and so on and so forth when it comes to that, and trying to be fair to everybody involved. We just looked at the policy regarding tuition students, and you have to, you know, if there's an extenuating circumstance, you've got to give what that reason is. We never got to hear that because some nice person in Lebanon paid for this young child's last 50 days at $103 a day. That's $5,150. If the board had gone along with that, you'd have had the 313 kids that are paying tuition say, hey, you know, we want to repay. Now you take 313, multiply it times 50 days, times $103, that comes out to a little over $1.6 million.
Wow.
So, you know, there's a lot more to things that, you know, people don't hear or see or, you know, get the entire story, and it's nice to get that out there because that's a huge chunk of change. The other thing is, you know, everybody in the city is looking at their budgets. They're trying to control things. They're trying to keep costs down. You're doing everything you possibly can that's fair to everybody. You know, it's a difficult task, and it's a real juggling act. So, you know, we've got our hands full doing that.
So the tuition has been paid for this child,
Yes.
and the child is in the school system.
School system to the
and
end of the
will
year.
till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And next year, let's say he decides he wants to stay here, he will pay tuition,
Just like,
as those other towns that you said, those
Yes.
sending towns. do.
Correct.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm just surprised at the distance that some of these kids come from when you mention the geographic area to come to Lebanon High School, which, you know, I would say it's a feather in the cap of the Lebanon School District.
Well,
People feel that this is a good school to send them to.
yeah, everybody complains, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't
Yeah.
do this, we don't
Yeah.
do that, but we're doing a lot that's right, and I think, you know, our teachers and our administrators don't get enough pat on the back. I mean, they work very hard to, you know, to give a quality education, and, you know, we've got kids going to just about every big name school in the country, and they're doing well, so, you know, that does say a lot.
I have to mention that both of our wives work for the Lebanon School District as a as a matter of fact, and we know how hard they both work with the students and really get involved with the kids, and they're not a number by any means.
Well, my wife just finished she's the extracurricular advisor for the juniors and seniors. They just finished here 2 weeks ago the junior prom that was held over at the Hartford Elks in White River Junction, Vermont. Absolutely gorgeous. Everything went fantastic. They had one of the best turnouts I've ever had. I think it was up to or maybe a little over 300
Wow.
kids attend. So, and it went off. I mean, it was elegant. It was done professionally. It was just fantastic. So it was. I got to chaperone that.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah, I've done that a number of times when my wife was teaching elsewhere earlier. So if the situation ever came up again, like we just had with this student, the policy would remain the same, that they would have to pay tuition at the going rate, and if they start in September, they're looking at 15 to 17,000.
I think the big difference in this case here is 50 days is like a semester. You know, if it was a week left of school, maybe 2 weeks left of school,
Yeah.
you know, that might get waived. But when you're talking 50 days, a whole semester, that's a pretty good chunk of change. You know, the superintendent in Windsor kind of threw our superintendent under the bus when he said they're already paid for. Well, it isn't already paid for. And, you know, it's easy for him to say, you know, if it was my school, I would do it. Well, if that's the case, why doesn't he write a check and send it to us so that it isn't an issue?
Yeah. Well, he said it's paid for, but to his district and not ours.
Yeah, and the other thing he said too, which was wrong, is Vermont doesn't, pay for tuition into New Hampshire or something to that effect was in the paper. Now, I don't know if they misquoted him or not, but what did I tell you earlier? Heartland and Weathersfield are both Vermont towns that send kids here. So,
And we don't know if the district's paying some of it or if they're paying. I would suspect that the parents of the kids are paying full tuition.
that would be my guess.
Because
however, Grantham and Plainfield are under our area agreement, and we have an agreement. So, but these other Cornish, Enfield, Heartland, Lyme, Piermont, and Weathersfield are not.
Yeah. And I understand, Grantham is growing by leaps and bounds with the number of students they're sending us. They've added on to their elementary school, I think, 2 if not 3 times. Where Eastman Community was, 4 or 5 kids at the beginning, and now they tell me 2 and 3 school buses are going through there now. So they're going to be. Do you see much of an impact of that still too?
Well, you won't see it on. I mean, the only place we'll see that is 7 through 12.
Right.
Because they have their own school up until 7th grade, so I don't foresee that. The numbers have been flat, but if these elementary numbers keep going up like they're going up, that flatness is going to go away as time goes on. Those are going to, they're going to move up.
Yeah.
We also get a lot of people that are at Sachem Village that are here for maybe 1 to 3 years, getting extra education at Dartmouth or in an intern program of some kind there, and they're married, got children, and then then they move on, so they may not get to that level. So you see that fluctuation also.
And basically they're Lebanon residents, so they come under the
they would come under
as a regular resident,
and it would be covered. Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned other committees that you sit on. What might those be?
Finance and facility. I mean, that's the one where we're looking at budgets and spending money and so on and so forth. I just got on that one this past. This is going on my 2nd year on that. I filled in towards the end of a year, and now it's my first full year on that. Policy committee, I've been on 2.5. I was at one time on the education committee. And I'm on the recreation. I'm a member of the recreation committee, which isn't bad because you only meet about once a quarter on that. But of course,
and then of course budget time you meet almost every.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst part of this whole
I can
whole
imagine
business. Trying to. I mean, this year it went well in that we basically just said, let's go with the default budget and ask them to go back, all our administrators to go back and fine tune if they could, and they did. They cut $1.5 million.
Wow.
Now, did it hurt us or not hurt us? I don't know. I mean, I was actually expecting them to come back and say, well, we can't cut 1.5. We can only cut, 900. But they did that. They worked hard to do that. I'm sorry to see Dr. Paludi leave. That's another, I think she's done a great job in the last 4 years here, making people accountable and kind of tightening the things up that weren't tightened a few years back before I even got on the board. We just got a new director of facilities for the SAU, and I think he's going to do a wonderful, wonderful job. He worked for the city for a number of years.
Oh.
He worked for Pathways, and now he's come over to us. I think that's an exciting.
I understand that you're rather than jump right into collecting resumes, doing interviews, and all that, you're going to appoint an interim superintendent.
We're looking at an interim superintendent for a year, mainly because we're going into negotiations for teacher contracts and stuff.
Okay.
And this way we can take our time and have a good search for a new director and superintendent, and then they'll start with a clean slate. They won't be coming in the middle of negotiations.
So you're hoping
forth.
the negotiations will be all done by the time.
By the time we get
Okay.
a new superintendent in there, that's what the hopes are. That could change.
Yeah.
I'm only one of 9 people, so And
Yeah.
everybody changes their views and minds
Right.
by how they get hit from the public on a daily basis.
And you have, it's a 3-year term?
3 year.
3-year term.
Yeah, I just started I'm starting my my second 3 year term. I filled in for a year, did a 3 year term, and I'm going to be in the middle. I'll be doing another 3 years, so
3-year term.
I'll have 7 years on the board by the time
When you get done, yeah.
well,
Well, you know,
I don't know.
you can run.
I can run till the cows come home.
Yeah.
My
Well, you know,
wife,
people
my
talk-
wife's not too crazy about
I can
that.
imagine with the time you guys spend. You know, they talk about term limits, and I always say, you know, term limits are generated by the voters. If they think it's time for you to go, then they go somewhere.
Well, that's it. You know, you don't get a lot of volunteers to be on the school board. You know, as you can see, you don't get a lot of volunteers that come forth to run for city council either.
But at least you've had some races in the school board. I mean, there's been always more candidates than positions.
You know,
where
and
the city
most
council hasn't
most
had
of the candidates have all been excellent candidates. I mean, you're never going to agree with everybody, but you know, you kind of work to come to the middle. I hope you're a good listener, and you know, you can work through the issues that's fair to everybody. You know, you try to put the kids first,
Yeah.
and then you try to keep it within a certain budget, not break the bank.
Yeah.
So,
Which is difficult to do.
which is it's all difficult, but yeah, you're right. We've always had good races, but all the candidates have been good. It wouldn't have made any difference, I don't think, of any of them who got in. I think they all work hard. They give a ton of time. This is the first year since I've been on the board that all the board members, except the chair, is doing it for nothing. We're not getting
Oh.
a stipends this year.
Of course, the stipend was so great in the first place. I mean,
Well, it's not a big thing, but I mean, if you're asking teachers and you're asking administrators to take cuts and stuff, you know, we donated our stipends
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
So I think that says a lot for all these members on the board.
Sure. And I think, you know, if you figure the hours you put in, you'd be way under the
Oh.
minimum wage, even less than that.
Well, you know, everybody thinks, like I said earlier, that you're on the board and you meet every 2 weeks, twice a month, and then from probably the middle of October till the end of the year, you know, it's just about every week because you're in the budget. What they don't realize is you're on at least 3 or 4 committees,
Exactly.
which is an hour and a half every other week also. You know, for me it was 4 committees, now it's just 3, but still, that's a lot of time you're giving back
Sure.
to your community.
Yeah. Well, Bob, we thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. You know, hopefully we can do this again in a few months, and I can give you some great news of more stuff coming up that's
Excellent.
exciting and
Love to have you.
positive.
Yeah, terrific. That's another edition of Points of Interest, brought to you by the Lebanon Area Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be back next week with another exciting program. Until then.